Yes, yes. Welcome to another episode of Stories to Create podcast right here at EOS Club. I'm your host, Cornell Bunting. I am so excited today because I finally got my beautiful new friend in the house that's doing a lot of big things here in Southwest Florida and some would say global people. You know, not just the chick squad that she got. She also has a podcast that's doing and knocking some heads off a little bit, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, of course, she's a mogul. Beautiful thing. And I'm talking about none other than Miss Erica Castner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cornell. I'm so blessed to be here. You are now officially part of my PR team with that intro. So, not that you need another job or task in the world because you're a busy guy, but if you ever need a moment to do some PR for a fellow queen, I'm totally down
Most
with that.
definitely. I would love to just, I don't know if you ever see this one TikTok thing where they got this guy, he's kind of big. And then he has someone that he's trying to hype up and they're walking in front of him and he's doing the big jump and I can't think of his Big Sexy, I think they call him.
Are you thinking of Mr. Beast or
No. I think
is it a different guy?
It's a different guy. It's
okay.
it's like a big guy and he does the jump and he do all kind of stuff behind you when you're walking.
You're gonna have to send it to me because I don't think I've seen it, but I feel like
hilarious.
I might have, but you'll have to definitely send it so we're on the same page.
Yes. Listen, so what we want to do with our listeners today, we want to treat them to a tale.
Yeah.
So we want you to take them back to the early years.
Okay.
Where were you born?
So I was born in a small town in Danville, Illinois.
Okay.
It was where I'm from originally. And I lived right on so if you don't know where Danville is, it's like right on the Indiana-Illinois border. So everybody in Florida is like Chicago, and I'm like, no, 2.5 hours south of Chicago.
Okay.
So I bebopped around Illinois quite a bit, and then I moved to Florida 20 years ago. It'll be 21 years in February.
Ooh,
so I'm
okay.
not a lifer, but practically.
we gonna get to that in a little bit here. So, school life. How was school life like in Illinois? Like, so you did elementary and high school, or?
Yeah, so I did. And fascinating shout out to my sixth grade teacher because she actually lives. So where I live now is in Babcock Ranch.
Okay.
And my sixth grade teacher in Illinois actually lives in Babcock Ranch too.
Come on.
It's the craziest thing. So I will run into her. So shout out to Zolby.
Okay.
And then her daughter, who was a school friend of mine, like we grew up together.
Yeah.
Her daughter and I went to separate high schools, but we did grade school together. So grade school and I wasn't necessarily the best student, but.
What? No.
I wasn't. I was a terrible student.
Wow.
But I think in hindsight, I was actually just not applying myself. We'll talk about probably some of the some of the things I do respectfully in terms of helping people apply themselves. But I like how I present today in terms of courage and putting people together and creating community and culture and all that. I didn't have any of that skill
You
back
was a
in
rebel.
the day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was a rebel. I was still very like connected to like, okay, I can't do this because I'll get in trouble. I think I was just trying to be too like perfect, but at the same time, I didn't. In that perfection, I really didn't apply myself. The expectation was that it was going to be perfect just because I was there, and that failed miserably. So that does not serve anybody well. And but my young Erica did not know that back in the day. So but I'm sure as we progress in this conversation today, we'll talk about some of those lessons that came up in the condo.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So in that early time,
siblings? Yeah. So I'm the oldest of 7.
Okay.
And so my dad was stationed in the Army when I was younger.
Okay.
We moved around a little bit when he was in the Army, and then there was he got out of the Army. Okay. And when he got out of the Army, that's not my story to share, so I'm not going to share that.
Right.
But it caused some interesting dynamics in our family life. We actually lived at the time lived in Anchorage, Alaska. We were stationed there. Mm-hmm. Moved back to Illinois, and it was hard for my family to really kind of get reacclimated back to Illinois. There's a lot of circumstances that happened. And so from that, you have kind of an interesting family dynamic with being the oldest of 7, right?
Right.
Parents that were doing the very best that they could.
So same mom. Mom had all 7 kids.
Same mom and dad. Yep, okay. Same mom and dad. But like we were constantly struggling with a lot of different things, and so hence the focus that I had. Like it I just didn't have it. Right. I didn't have the structure. Right. So thankfully, like I said, my parents did the very best they could, but there was just a lot of kids running around, right?
Yeah, because every time your dad look at you, mom, he's like, you know what, another one.
Exactly. So, and then they were, my dad was working like 3 jobs, my mom was staying home with the kids. Right. So, it was a lot of figuring things out by myself. Thankfully, I had mentors in my life that kind of showed me the way, and it was still a rocky road, but I really didn't feel like I grasped like the concept of taking ownership of my life until I was probably in high school. Wow. That's when I really was like, okay, you know what? There's people around me that are doing epic things. Yes. They are, like, what could I be doing to put myself in those environments? Right. And so in high school, I kind of took it upon myself to say, I am going to go get involved with the show choir. I am going to go get involved with the, like, other things on the school campus because I want to be around people that are doing epic things.
So when you got in the choir, was you like a lead singer? What did you do in the choir?
So I was I was a soprano. I was in the show choir.
Okay.
But I actually sang all my life. But I was very timid about it, very scared about doing any of that. And so I still did it. Yeah. And then when I moved to Florida, so I'm flash forward just a little bit, jumping all around a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
But when I moved to Florida, I decided that I would get back into singing. And so for a brief stint, I was actually a soprano with the Southwest Florida Symphony Chorus.
Come on.
And then I was also, when the director left and disbanded, they did some reorganization. This is many moons ago. Yeah. They did some reorganization. And then that director who I came on board with for the Symphony Chorus, he started another smaller chamber choir, and so I was part of that for about 2.5 seasons.
Wow.
So I did some of that, like 2013, 2014. Yeah. And so now, like, the extent of my singing is like singing karaoke with my kids. Like, my kids are in town as we're recording this right now. Yeah. My kids are in town for Thanksmas. And because they're doing their own thing for Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're older girls, and so we kind of did the family karaoke thing. So that's about the extent of my singing these days.
You're like one of those artists that just look very shy getting to the stage, and then the minute you open your voice, everyone's like, really now?
It's not Beyonce, but yeah, I mean, it's...
She could do it, people. She could do it. I have to say, there's something that's so beautiful and touching with that type of world. And you in high school, was there ever a moment, like, before I even go into that, did you ever listen to any of Frank Sinatra stuff?
Oh, of course, yeah. Frank Sinatra. I was a big Debbie Gibson, Amy Grant.
Really?
Amy Grant, like, and then Mariah Carey when she came onto the scene. Like, I think I had a brief stint in high school where I, like, all I wore was like what Mariah wore in the Daydream out, or the Dream Lover.
Yeah. Dream Lover.
Yeah. I had like the long hair, and I was like, I think I wore flannel and short shorts and like Keds for 6 months because I wanted to be Mariah Carey so bad.
You're like, here she comes. Here she comes.
Exactly.
I love that. So, I love that. It's for people that get emotional, like, let's say when you're doing a lot of the sets that you guys do, because there's so much to it, and I think it's because of the sound, it brings this peace. Like, people feel like, and people get emotional.
Yeah. One of my most favorite memories, and I don't talk about this a lot, but because I just don't have the it doesn't come up in conversation.
Right.
But one of my favorite moments of me singing was actually, because I'm tall, I usually am like the one that's stacked on the right, like the top riser.
Okay.
So the first year I sang with the Symphony Chorus, we actually had a holiday concert at Barbara B. Mann.
Okay.
And it was like the Holiday Pops concert, and I remember there was a moment where the symphony was now playing and like the chorus sat.
Right.
But I was like on the very top riser, and I was like the first position. So when I looked out, I could literally see everything. The curtain was touching me.
Wow.
Like the curtain was touching me. So I could see all, I mean, of course it was dim, so you couldn't really see the people, but like in terms of just soaking in the entire experience and like being on that stage, it was so peaceful and so emotional, because you're just like, wow, I'm a little speck in this. Like I'm a, like, you know, nobody's pointing me out and saying, oh, there's Erica, except for the people that were there watching me.
Right.
But it was cool to be a part of that, and to create joy and experiences for other people.
That's
you know,
amazing.
And so when, you know, I think about how like singing and being a part of a choir, how that everybody has their part.
Yes.
And so I think that like if it correlates to the things that I do today respectfully, like we all have a part. We all have we all should have a voice.
Yes.
And even if it's not necessarily singled out, it's important. Our voice is just as important as the next person that's sitting there, because it creates that whole environment for joy and celebration, you know?
The way you apply yourself, you know, is there ever a time, like, you know, when you know, the whole unit is together, you're on set, and there's someone that's off key? Does that ever bother you? Like, does you ever find yourself in a situation where you just want to say something? But
I am a firstborn Virgo, so, you know, no, I'm teasing. You know, honestly, I am going to be the last person that's ever going to call somebody out for being off key, because I've been there. I've been there, right?
You understand.
So yeah. So I mean, but you know, I don't have the opportunity to sing so much today.
Right.
But it's cool that I'm able to use my voice in other capacities, like speaking, like podcasting, panel moderations, like those kinds of things. So it's funny because, like, for the longest time, I envisioned when I was a kid, even with the chaos and even with like no structure in my world.
Right.
I was like, it would be so cool to be a famous singer, and like to really, like, I was tied up in like the notoriety of that what that brought to the table. However, that didn't materialize for me like in a professional way. But what's nice is, and what's interesting is, not this podcast because it's too new, but the prior podcast that I had, The Heart of Marketing You, that was on iHeartRadio.
Okay.
And so what's funny is, like, for when I was a kid, I was like, I want to be on the radio, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then when my podcast got on iHeartRadio and it was on Apple and all the things, I'm like, well, my voice is actually like in the media, it's on the radio, but it's not singing, it's speaking, and it's in a different capacity.
Right.
So, like, did I bring that to fruition because I thought that through? Like, I didn't necessarily think that through.
Right.
But when you look at it, when you connect the dots, you and I were talking about connecting the dots prior to jumping on live.
Yes.
But like so much of that is going back and saying, oh, well, I could see where that correlates. Like, I wanted to sing, but I'm not singing, but I am speaking, and that's still using your voice. You're still applying your voice.
You know, with you, you know, now, let's move forward a little bit from after school, getting ready to go into the work world. What was the support like from your parents? You as the oldest.
Well, I think, you know, again, going back to the upbringing, I think they did the very best that they could, right? Yeah. And I think that the support from one side of my parent team was evident. The other side, not so much. Okay. And what was interesting was I really had to seek that out. And I think that today, like moving into some of the work that I do respectfully today, is even if you have a family unit, even if you if somebody is blood, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to 1,000% support you on your journey. And that's okay. For the longest time, I was so offended by that. I was so hurt by that.
Yes.
But what I've discovered is that, you know, when you're a kid and when you're trying to figure things out, like you don't know any different. Right. But when you get into adulthood, and when you get into the workforce, like if you show up and have a bad day and you're dragging everybody into that bad day, that's on you. That has nothing to do with how you were brought up. Who ticked you off in traffic. Like it has everything to do with you showing up in that moment. So if you want that, like you've got to go get it. And again, I didn't have that that hindsight back then. Right. But I think going into the work, like when I started in my, like, so here's the other thing.
Yes.
My aspirational goal was, like, if I just could work behind the Clinique makeup counter, like, I would have made it. Like, Clinique, Estee Lauder, like, and I did that. I did that, like, when I first started my career. And those were all great experiences for what I do today, because it taught me how to converse with people, especially in a makeup, like in a cosmetic counter. It's a very back in the day, it was a very intimate experience. A woman would come in and she'd be like, oh, I need my foundation, I need my lipstick, but I need to know what kind it would be and so you'd have to really converse with somebody and find out what their style was and what they were doing in terms of why they needed that makeup and all. So it helped me become a better conversationalist.
That's beautiful.
But to wrap this up and put a bow on it, like, I had to usually seek support in interesting ways, but I think that forced me to be a better communicator, a better conversationalist, and have more courage to to ask questions and to engage in conversations.
Wow, I like that. At what age would you say you felt the need to do a lot of this stuff yourself? Like, you're in the work world, but not necessarily want to be in the work world the way the work world take. Right.
Well, I think it's we could segment it, because I think there was a defining moment in my life when I was about 22, 23. I was getting married to my first husband at the time, and I was going through a transition with my family, my immediate family, and so I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder. I still thought that they're like, and so granted, when I in that context, I was probably in my career, in the retail world, probably I would say like 4 or 5 years. But I was moving back to like my hometown. I had gone away to college, so I'm kind of bouncing around the story a little bit. So I had an opportunity to go to university in Southern Illinois University, and so it's about 4.5 hours away from my hometown. And so I went to school, did my university thing, got my degree. The person that I ended up, my first husband, married him. He was from our hometown. And so, but at the same time, I'm assuming this role as a wife. And I thought I needed to have everything figured out by the time I got married, and I didn't, and I was disappointed in that. I was having some turmoil going on with my family. There was all of these things going on. So I didn't necessarily, I just thought that's the way life was. And it wasn't until probably 10 years later when I went through a divorce from that person. And then I was finding myself like now, well, my career has changed again 10 years later, and I was doing some other things. I was working for a chamber of commerce here locally, and I was approaching a new relationship, and I probably didn't need to jump into that new relationship right away, because I wasn't settled. I wasn't settled, but I didn't know that. I was just like going through the assumption of like, that's life, that's how it is. Like you got these cards, you just need to figure it out. And so it wasn't until I got divorced, I got married to the person I'm with today, my husband Ed. But 6 months into that marriage, I was like, we're gonna end up in divorce court.
Oh my goodness!
Because neither one of us, he had left a marriage, I had left a marriage, and then we came together and really hadn't done that healing. And so it wasn't until then, Cornell, that I was like, oh snap, I gotta do something. I've gotta work on me. Because the only way I'm ever gonna work, the only way I'm ever going to be purposeful and help other people with my story is if I understand my own story. If I find the courage to face some of the stuff that I had kind of swept under the rug, the relationships that I had kind of let go of. I needed to forge ahead of that. So I really didn't get clarity on that until I was in my 30s. And so here I am, almost 50, 3 years from 50. But it's been a journey. And for anybody that is exploring that, and they're watching this right now and they're thinking, okay, you know, like my circumstances, like they are what they are. I can't do anything about it. You absolutely can do stuff about it. Definitely. But the journey of you taking ownership of it and moving forward with it. Yeah. You have to put yourself in that driver's seat. Right. Like you can't rely on other people to do that work for you. Right. You've got to, if you want a healthier relationship with your partner, you have to take the first step. You have to take the first step. If you want a job, you have to go apply for it. If you want friends, you have to go seek those things out. Right. And so it was through that process, like in my early 30s, that I was like, I am the driver of my life. Yeah. And I need to be bold enough and courageous enough to say, what do I do next? I can't rely on other people to do it for me.
Right. And you know the listeners now are be like, oh, we got questions. The questions are like going crazy.
I may have answers. I don't know. But
they're like, so Head had to be like very patient because when you're discovering this, you guys are new into this marriage and all this stuff.
1,000%. Yeah, but you know, and the reality of it, and again, this isn't my story to share, but he had his own stuff that he was going through. Right, right. And I what was pivotal in that moment, and it shows up today, and I'll talk about that in just a second, hopefully. Yeah. We'll get to it. But we did it together, but like we did our own healing separately, right. But we did it together, meaning that it wasn't like I was doing this like hard thing, and then he was just chilling on the side, not doing anything. Like he was going through his own equally hard thing, for his own self, respectfully. And then when we because we were on that journey together, we were then able to come together and say, okay, now what? Now what do we do? Yes. How do we conquer the world together? I know that sounds so like Austin Powers, but like how do we conquer stuff together in a powerful way so that we so we're forced to be reckoned with versus like just at odds with each other. Because so many people, I mean, I witnessed it growing up. Like I think that like my parents did the best they could, but it was always like they were at odds with each other. Right. And I didn't want to, and I felt like my first marriage, I was somewhat always at odds with that person. Yeah. And nobody should feel that way. Like if you're in a union like that, you need to feel like that person has your back. Definitely. And you know, do I necessarily is everything with my husband like in our relationship like rainbows and sunshine? Heck no. Right. But we know we have each other's back. Yes. And that's a critical part.
I love that. You know, I've had this conversation with a few ladies last week, and you know, I was telling them that a lot of times the reason relationships end is when the guy feel he doesn't have the respect from the woman, because guys look for that. They look for the respect. If they feel there's no respect from that woman, they're like, you know what, this not going.
But I think it's on the flip side of that. Yeah. I think it could be the same about women, but they just internalize it differently. Like the way they maybe associate the emotion is a little differently.
But remember though, guys are so easy though, because once a guy is into a woman, he's zoned in, he's locked in, and I think this is why, because a guy, even if that woman don't necessarily vibing with him, this is the type of woman I want. So even if I'm not the type of guy that she wants, I need to make myself fit what that look like, and that's when disaster happens. But woman, and this is just, you know, from my observation, women are more. They're not as easy to figure out as how a guy is easy to figure out.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
You know what, I guys, I know there's some guys that could go on the fence with this and say, Cornell, I feel like a guy, when a man and a woman come together, the woman can figure out the guy way, way, way sooner than him figuring out her.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is it could be a fair statement for sure. Yeah. But here's the reality of it. So I think like I don't sit and dwell on this aspect. Right. However, when I think about my previous situation, my previous partnership, and the current partnership I have today with my husband Ed, I know that the the circumstances were way different. And I couldn't live the life I do today if it wasn't for my person today. Like I feel like there were a lot of and again it was me. I don't want to put all the blame on my previous partner.
Right.
But I wasn't able to show up fully as me.
Right.
I was very reserved and very hesitant to show up and speak up and do the things that I wanted to do, right? Because I was always reluctant, or like there was some sort of like maybe he would misinterpret something, and so I overplayed all these scenarios. I overthink a lot of things. I wasn't in my own realization about that relationship. I wasn't fully present in that relationship. Right. So I think when you find a person, regardless of the union of that, because people are adults and whatnot. Right. But if you find that person who is like, look, I have your back. Right. I might not necessarily agree with you all the time, but I have your back. I have, and that takes a lot of courage on both sides, that, and that's a constant conversation. Like that's not something you just have like on your wedding day, and then you're like, oh, okay, like we said that once, and now we can. I haven't changed my mind, so we're not going to talk about it again. No, it's a constant. You got to constantly talk about those things.
Now, we're in a time now where a lot of female is trying to move into that leadership role, and we have more females that are, forming groups, and they're having those conversations. Yeah. When did you decide you needed to take that step to help other women?
Well, I feel like it's always been in my. I wouldn't say. Let me say it this way. I think that when I realized that was probably my purpose in this world, was to help other women get the courage within themselves to kick butt, take names, do hard things. Right. I feel like I've had that realization for a number of years. Okay. But here's what's interesting about that, Cornell, is I had this epiphany about 2 years ago. Okay. Where I thought, you know what, the way I want to create community and culture, like I had been doing it in my own. So when I left the chamber, I left, that was back in 2015. I started my own workforce development company. Right. It was affectionately called Castner Consulting. Right. Real fancy name. But I, and prior to COVID, that was my jam. I was working in workforce development. Right. It didn't matter if they were men, women, green, purple, black, white. It didn't matter. Like my whole shtick was helping people feel more connected in the workplace, and really from a communication standpoint and systems and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. When COVID changed the landscape of workforce development, or it was just workforce in general, and all the things, right? I mean, like any industry was affected by that global pandemic. Yes. It caused me to think about, well, what do I really want to do in my world? Right. And so when I thought about how do I help people say and do the things that they want to say? How do I help them figure out the right words to say, the right language, or the right like what do they need to feel like they have the communication tools they need to build those relationships? Yeah. I felt like I was onto something. That was back in like 2020. Like 2020, 2021. Mm-hmm. Flash forward today though, or actually let me go back to 2 years ago when I had this epiphany. I was like, you know what? I don't necessarily have to do it in a sense of organized. Right. It doesn't have to be organized where I have like this blueprint of saying, step 1 is this communication tactic. Step 2 is this. Step 3. I thought, you know what? What if we just created opportunities for people to come together and create their own context to those conversations?
Come on.
Rather than me trying to figure it out for people, because that's not very empowering. No. Like when they people buy into that for a hot minute because they're like, okay, I need the tools, and I need the step by step. Right. But what people really need is permission. Yes. And I can say, I give you permission to do whatever, but if you don't believe in yourself to do that thing, are you going to go do it? No. Yes. So it really became for me, what am I doing to create ecosystems for predominantly women, but like just in general, what am I doing to create culture and conversations in a way that I don't have to teach it per se, but I'm just creating an environment for them to feel capable of doing it, feel like they have the courage to go out there and do it. Right. And courage, for anybody that's watching this right now, like nobody's born with it.
Right.
Like it is a learned trait.
It
so like
is.
you have to apply yourself day in and day out to build up that courage muscle.
Yes.
And so when you do that, like it getting on a podcast, doing 130 episodes of the podcast becomes a snap because you've been building you've been exercising that courage muscle.
Right.
The first time you did this you're probably like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? Like, right?
What are we doing?
And now, like we stroll up like 2 minutes before we're supposed to do this, and we're doing it, right? Because we've done it respectfully a number of times. We've built up that muscle.
Right.
So so I hope I answered your question.
Definitely. That's and you guys are welcome, because that's a beautiful gem for a lot of individuals to understand that it's trying to move into that space, and a lot of what you're doing right now. Even when you have your conversations on your podcast with what that look like, because I feel like with the gens and this is all these different things that's happening now where we are looked at as we did a lot of things wrong because a lot of us and maybe I'll go far back as what is that before millennial, that was Gen X. So they were saying like we did a lot of stuff wrong because a lot of the Gen X now, they can't retire at like 60. They're still working, still trying to figure out that they can't really enjoy life. Right. While the newer gens are coming out and they're saying, we can figure out how to get this done, a work week and fit it into 3 days. You feel like because of how we grew up back then, like, with the... And maybe it's with the technology of time and how fast things have now improved and stuff. You think a lot of that have given this paradigm shift, the mindset, a way that they look at what is happening?
I think that today there's so much opportunity.
Right.
There's so much. So I think it... to put it in perspective for like maybe the Gen X's or like the Zennials like me, because I was like in that cusp of where I was born like in 1978, so like where I had some of the Generation X tendencies, but then I was like slipping into technology and things like that.
Right.
So I say all that because like there's a lot of shiny objects right now,
right,
a lot of opportunity to kind of dive into AI or to other tools or to like I used to think that this, like doing what we're doing right now, like you needed to be like a super uber famous person. You needed to have like millions of dollars to build a studio, and like you don't have to have that today. No, and so there's opportunities everywhere. And with that said, because of that, like if we're not focused on the things that we want, we talked a lot about purpose earlier before we turned on the cameras. Right. There's going to be a lot of things that will kind of step in your way and be like, oh, hold up, like distracting you from the thing that you need to go do. Right. So I've been guilty of it. Like I let the shiny things like sometimes sway me, not necessarily for my purpose, but from like, okay, well, like this other thing feels kind of hard over here. So like maybe this thing will be easier over here. Mm-hmm. But I think with the generations, going back to your question, the paradigm shift, it really boils down to how adaptable can we be? Right. Like, what can we do to, like, I don't want to say stay in our lane, because I always want to be exploring. I always want to be open to possibilities. Yes. I don't want to be so close-minded that I'm like, okay, I'm on this path and I'm not going to let anything, like, steer me off that path. Right. But I think we just have to be like, okay, maybe this isn't this isn't working out, and it's showing up where it's constantly not working out. And so what do I need to do to perhaps maybe reorganize myself to create success or to be adaptable, and to not be so married to I'm gonna do this and this is what I said I was going to do, like because I think that we need to have patience with ourselves. Things are moving so fast that I never thought in a million years that I would ever like show up on Jason's stage, right? Yeah, I mean, you and I both did that not too long ago. Respectfully.
And before you even go more, because a lot of people, they feel like it's some of the boldest people that had to have make that decision to take that step to go on the stage to talk about your F-ups.
Yeah, hard stuff.
The things that you You were supposed to be paying attention to, but you wasn't.
Right.
Because you were so distracted with everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's, you know, for listeners, you know, help them understand just a little bit of that. Like for you, you know, prepping yourself over the years to be the individuals that you are now, to now be comfortable, to be vulnerable.
So I usually will say the data is in the doing.
Ooh,
so
yes.
A lot of what we anticipate in terms of experiences or like coming up with a plan to go do XYZ, we cannot fully figure that out until we go do.
Yes.
So part of that process is going to be falling on your face, jacking things up to the point where you're like, oh man, like that was a real big, like I can't believe I made that time investment, that money investment, that energy investment. I can't believe, like all the things.
Yeah.
But we don't know any of that until we do. Like that data is going to drive our decisions moving forward of what we have to do.
Yes.
And so going back to feeling like it's so much bigger than confidence. Like for the longest time, I was like, I'm just gonna lump this into confidence, but it's not. It's actually having the knowing within you to say, I can do like the toughest things. I can put myself in situations that are going to stretch me. They're going to put me outside of my comfort zone, and I'm going to learn a lot of stuff from this. But that does take time. That's not something that like I just, you know, like to the girl that was, you know, like the young Erica who would expect to show up on the sports teams when she was in grade school, like because the choir thing, like, you know, that was fun, but like maybe I needed to do something else. And I was terrible at sports. Yeah. But the hindsight of it was I didn't apply myself. I didn't go and push myself. I didn't want to fail.
Right.
So I was like, it'd be way easier for me to sit on the sidelines and not do anything at all because nobody will see me fail.
Right.
But then like nobody will see me fail.
Right.
So like a mentor of mine, she calls it like instead of playing to win, you're playing not to lose. That's a terrible place to be in because you just don't have you don't have experience or data to drive your next decision. Right. And so part of that process is failing and but it's not failing in the traditional sense of like your life is over.
Right.
It's just like that really sucked. I thought that was going to work out better.
Yeah.
It didn't.
It didn't.
But here I'm going to put a spotlight on this so other people don't mess it up.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to talk about what I learned in that experience too.
Right.
So having the boldness, I guess I couldn't imagine 3 years ago that I would ever have the courage to do that.
Wow.
But flash forward, having conversations, meeting new friends like yourself, being around other people, being around other peers, seeing them do it, getting examples from other people, having other conversations. Like most of the things that we want are on the other side of a conversation. If we're just willing to open up and say something about it.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
When you see all that, like it's evidence that you can do it too. You know?
Definitely. Yeah. So we got two shows happening at the same time. We got Bruce Springsteen going on over here.
All
we got Bon Jovi going on over here. Which show is
I'm probably going to say Bon Jovi.
Ooh.
Living on a prayer, baby. Living on a prayer.
I like that. Hey, Bruce fans, it's okay.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, is Mariah Carey opening? No, she's not opening. She's a headliner. What are we talking about?
There you go. But if she was opening, definitely. You choosing her over anyone.
Well, I mean, Mariah.
I love that. You know, one of the things that a lot of people say is how powerful when singers start reaching millions, how powerful of an influence they have on the mass of people. And now you know, you have certain people saying certain forces, when they need whatever narrative to be created, they just use a influencer. You think that goes in the mass of people's favor now, or it goes against a lot of what's going on?
I think it just depends on the circumstance, right? Yeah. I mean, because if it's driven from a place of negativity and agenda-filled like noise, I mean it can be detrimental. But you know, from an intentionality standpoint, like if it's coming from a place of curiosity and intention and like just conversation, I think that those things could be I think that's kind of why we one of the motivating factors of me starting H.Y.P.E Squad, because I was so like anytime you turn around, like you could get one perspective of any side of news right now, you get it from multiple like, and it's not even just like two sides. Like I think like way back in the so growing up, like we had, it was very much like not to make this about politics, but because I don't want to make it about politics, but like it was very like we have the Democrats and we have the Republicans, and like now you have like, okay, you have those two things, but then you also have these like 60 other variables within those things, and then you have social media, and then you have like people having their own platforms, and you have and right. So when I started H.Y.P.E Squad, I'm like, you know what? Like, here's the deal. I don't necessarily think we need to create more content. We need to create more celebration for people around us. We need to put a spotlight on some of these bad things that are going on in the world versus like putting the spotlight on stuff that like we already know exists. We don't, and I don't want to be Pollyanna about it and say, well, I don't want to talk about it, so I don't it doesn't exist in my world. No, I'm very present with a lot of those things going on, but in terms of how we create community, that's not the focus. The focus is on what good are you doing in the world. And that's not even on a worldly basis. Like, what good are you doing today to put a smile on the face of the person you see at the grocery store? Like, it's that basic. It's not even hard. It's like, go compliment a chick at Trader Joe's. Like, tell her shoes are banging. You know, like, and like go, because that nugget, that might lift her day up in such a way.
You have no idea.
And it doesn't cost anything other than like a millisecond and you having the courage to be like, cute shoes, babe. Like that's it, right? Or a fly outfit. You know? Like whatever.
Listen, man, that is a whole task for you guys, you know. Just do something today, you know.
Compliment, just like throw out compliments like confetti.
Yes, I love that.
And it sounds so silly, but it'll change the way you think about the world and the way, because here's the other factor. You are now actively looking for things to compliment. Versus like, well, the government is doing blah, blah. It's like, okay, we all know like what's going on with that.
We all know.
Like we got it. We got it like 60 ways to Sunday. Now what do we do to like look for things that are awesome? And you know what? I teach this stuff all the time. I'm not exempt from like having those moments of, oh, you know what? Like this is unfortunate. Like I still have those moments, but it's now just being actively in the pursuit of chasing like joy, like and figuring out what's out there that I could like just put a spotlight on that epic thing, whether it's a compliment to somebody or it's actually going out there and doing what you're doing with like the Jamaica, you know, like and helping them and getting back on their feet. Like you're doing that, my friend. So
I love it.
It's all part of it.
So for the listeners, you know, busy world, putting that aside, what do you do to just find some peace, rest, joy?
Well, I'm getting ready to train for my second full Ironman.
Come on. You guys hearing this? You hearing this?
So so one of the things that I decided during the pandemic was that I wanted to challenge myself in a way that I thought was impossible.
Beautiful.
And fortunately Ed had that same he had that same idea. And so what we had agreed upon was we were going to do a sprint triathlon, like a baby triathlon.
Wow.
And then I got rescued from the water in my baby triathlon because the waves were like doing this.
Oh, it was too heavy.
And so I was like, well, I can't let my triathlon journey go down like that. Like I have to finish, like I did finish the race, but I didn't, it wasn't timed. So we ended up getting with a team. That team has since disbanded, but we got with a team, and they were like, and my aspiration was just to train for like the click up from that. And then they were like doing Ironman events and stuff, and I was like, there's no way. And they're like, yeah, you could totally do that. I'm like, no. So I did. So 2 years from learning how to swim. I didn't know how to swim until I was like 41. So I learned how to swim just to do my sprint triathlon.
Yeah.
My husband was 51 when he learned how to swim.
What?
Yeah. So wild stuff.
Yeah.
2 years from that point, I crossed the Ironman finish line. And if you don't know what the Ironman is,
yes.
do you know what the distance is? For our audience that doesn't know, that's okay, because I didn't know either.
Right.
I didn't know either until I did it.
Well, let's help the audience that don't know about this, because we.
So it's a 2.4 mile swim, a full Ironman. There's other distances in triathlons, but for a full Ironman, it's a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, followed by a full marathon at 26.2 mile run. So I did that in 21. I did that my first full Ironman race. I did that in 21, and then I'm getting ready to do that in Canada in 26.
Wow,
so,
I got tired just hearing all that, people. That is amazing.
So when I'm not working and doing those things, I do recharge in that way.
I love that. I love that, and that's a good way to recharge and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to food, what's your food of choice that you would just go to 4 or 5 days a week?
Anything my husband makes. He is like...
Is he that good of a cook?
Oh, come on. We have to have you over, my friend. We have to have you over.
Hey, Head, I'm coming over now.
Yeah, he is amazing. So I joke because I'm like, he's an insurance agent by day.
Yeah.
Like, Michelin star chef by night.
Come on.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Wow.
He's amazing. So anything he cooks. But however, if he's not, like, he travels quite a bit too, so if he doesn't make extras and freeze them, usually my go-to is like just a big gigantic pot of pasta, like, and I'll make that up and just eat on it the whole week. I'll even eat it cold. I don't even play with that.
Wow,
I'm just like, let's do it. But
yeah.
And especially right now that I'm actually needing some more carbohydrates to refuel for my endurance, my long distance bike rides and that sort of thing.
Yes.
I can eat the pasta again. But but yeah, so that would probably be my go-to comfort food.
That is so cool.
Maybe some fried chicken too, but I can't eat that all the time.
So when some people see you on stage, they're like, "Is she 6'1" or something?" Could you tell everyone how tall you are?
So I'm 5'9.5", but then when I put on my stilts, which we can't see them in the frame today, but they're usually at least 3.5 inch tall heels. Okay. Sometimes even higher.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have a girlfriend though who is 6'1".
What?
It is impressive. Like she looks amazing. Yeah. And flat-footed. She's
flat-footed 6'1".
So and a girl loves her heels. So she she's looking like LeBron when she's going out in her heels.
Friend, we need to meet.
Like a blonde LeBron, but
I like that. For me, I love, and one of these days, I always say I wanted to have a few tall friends that are like chicks that are just I'm cool with.
Right.
Yeah.
My bestie in high school, she was like 5'11".
Wow.
And so so when we would walk the halls, that was pretty. It was pretty epic because now I wasn't wearing heels back then, but we were definitely the taller chicks in school.
Guys, they like seeing that. They're like, we don't know how we're gonna do the approach because we might get turned down. Or guys hate when they get turned down, so they try not to do the.
Well, like Ed and I, so when I'm flat-footed, Ed's like a half inch taller than I, maybe an inch taller than me. And then I put on the stilts, and
and you gotta look
and then he's like, that's okay. I just gotta look up again now. So he's very confident in his ability to be like, okay, I got my tall lady. Yeah. It's all good. So, but no, here lately I've been doing a lot less heels just because
And I think we can say this for Head safely, but guys get excited about tall women. They do.
I would hope.
Oh, definitely. If they're thinking, listen. Yep, that's me. Yeah. That's me right there. It's beautiful thing.
Tall chicks are a thing. So I mean, we love petite. Like when I was younger, I didn't like my tallness, and now I love it. Now I embrace it. Yeah.
I like that you did that. When you were on stage, you talked about a time when you were like this camp, whatever it was, and they wanted you to give yourself a name.
Yeah.
And when you talked, it was kind of hilarious, just, the way you kind of approached it and talked about it. But definitely I would want my listeners to get a synopsis of that, to kind of have an understanding sometime when it's there, but you're missing it because you're looking at it in such a different way.
So what Cornell's referencing is our night with Jason Teeters, our friend.
Yes.
Jason Teeters, who spearheads something called Fun or F Up Nights.
Yes.
And so what's fun about that event, like no pun intended, but like what is really interesting about that event is like, you know, taking a story and like a moment where we've like majorly screwed up. And so to tie back to that story, my husband Ed, we're about 2 years into our marriage, and we're on that self-development journey where we're trying to like, you know, find ourselves and heal ourselves and do the things. And we had an opportunity to go to an empowerment workshop, it was called Enlightened Power Warrior, and it sounded so batty, right? I was like, oh, heck yes, sign me up for that. Yeah. And one of the first things we had to do was come up with our warrior name.
Yes.
And so the facilitator was giving us all these adjectives on how to like come up with this like said warrior name. And the only thing I could really think about, like in the context, like I felt kind of sheepish about doing it because it felt kind of weird. But I was like, well, I guess I could be a giraffe because like I'm tall and like giraffes are tall. Yeah. And then I was like, well, okay, if I have to describe an adjective, like at the time I was like, you know, like I don't necessarily like need to be in the spotlight all the time. Like I just want to make sure that things are rock solid and people have a good foundation and like, you know, but like I can be stealthy. I can do all that behind the scenes. So like my warrior name was Stealthy Giraffe.
Stealthy Giraffe.
You know what's hilarious about that is like if a giraffe walked in here right now, like would you all be like, no, that is just stealthy? No, like you would be like, this, what? What happened? Like, how did Giraffe break into the collaboratory and get on the show today? Right? It would not be a stealthy moment at all. No, and so, so flash forward later in the day, I have this moment where I have to like do this breaking of the board exercise, and I attempt it 3 times, and I don't break it until the 3rd time. But the difference was between the 2 times and the 3rd time. The 3rd time was that I actually screamed. Right. Breaking through the board on the 3rd time, and I broke the board. Yes. So my realization was, okay, I didn't have my voice actively involved and engaged in the first 2 times, but once I screamed and got my voice involved, it's like Mariah Carey that ish and like broke the board, right?
The star is born.
So the facilitator in front of this room of 300 people, as I'm like telling, because I'm like, he had an opportunity to say, what was your epiphany? And I'm like, me, I want to go. And you know, I had this moment. And so I say this story, and he says, where else are you not using your voice in your world? Right. And I was like, oh, snap. Yeah. Like, I guess I don't. And so I looked down at my husband. We were all sitting on the floor. It was kind of weird. But I looked down at him and I say, I don't have a voice in our marriage. I don't have a voice in this partnership. Right. And so I say that, and like a very condensed story. But what ends up happening is the facilitator of this thing finds me and he says, you need to change your warrior name because giraffes don't have vocal cords. Right. So you are self-selecting your involvement in not having a voice. Right. And that was like the epiphany of like I need to own my tallness. I need to own that I'm here to do big things. Right. I have an active role in like all the friendship, like anybody that I touch, I can have an active role in that. Right. I just have to claim it. I just have to say that this is what I'm doing. And so instead of just being in this passive mode and waiting for like things to happen to me and being a part of the energy, just sitting on the sidelines, like I need to be an active participant in that. Yes. So I just, you know, to tell that story, it was a eye-opening moment because
it's very powerful. Yeah, it's very powerful, and you know, you guys are welcome because a lot of you guys do this type of stuff. You're thinking something that's gonna disable you. Yeah. When all you need to do is enable yourself. Yeah. This tongue right here, very powerful.
And even with like the Hype Chick Squad, for instance, like I didn't want to say the word chicks because I thought I would offend somebody. No. And the thing is, like, yeah, I might. Right. But the reality of it is, we have nearly 1,200 women that are self-identifying as a hype chick. Come on. So had I not done that, who misses out? Like, this is I think the lesson I want to give you all today is like, who misses out on your gifts if you don't show up? If you don't do the dang thing, if you don't say the thing, like, you might irritate somebody. Right.
That's okay.
That has nothing to do with you. A lot of times it has everything to do with where that person is, but we get so hell-bent on, well, what are they going to think about you? What are they going to say about me?
Right.
Probably nothing, because they're caught up in their own world.
Yes.
And so, like, what you do in this micro level is just say it. Just do it. Because had I been scared and say, you know, gosh, I know the world that we live in today, maybe people would be offended by chicks. And it's like, yeah, some probably are. Right. But it's not for them. Right. And I don't need to drag them along. No. I don't want to shun anybody away. Right. But I certainly don't necessarily need to like water myself down or water the vibe down because I'm going to irritate somebody. Oh, like, I'm going to be irritated because the sky is blue and they expected it to be gray, you know, like, so I can't help that. I mean, no matter how hard I try, I can't change that person's attitude. So why not just do you?
Listen, we could go for a whole nother hour, people. I know there is so much that we didn't even get to touch on. So listen, this is what I'm going to promise you guys.
Part 2 in a few weeks, right?
In season 7, because, you know, we're in the last part of season 6 right now. In season 7, we're going to bring her back. I got you guys.
Oh,
I got you guys. Yes, we're, you know, so in the closing segment right now, for people that want to find you, if they want to be a part of your Chicks Club, or, you know, how can they find you? How can they find the organization? What does that look like?
So if they just head to ericacastner.com, my first and last name, ericacastner.com, you will find everything you need to know about what we do in terms of creating partnerships and collaborations and community with predominantly women, but we have a lot of really cool things that we're helping people change the conversation and help them feel courageous and having those conversations and showing up and creating the world that they want to live in and how they want to shape it.
Come on.
So
a banger. You guys are welcome. Erica, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, friend. I appreciate you so much.
Definitely.
You're amazing. You rock.
Yes. So listen, until our next episode where we have another decorative guest right here at EOS Club. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Wow.